leveraging, and he sees that I can do this.
So the question is going to be, when is it time for Chloe to start her line?
The biggest investment is to invest in people.
We have an idea. We know you are the man to come to. For me, I've always dreamed big, and so I called up my business partner, Daymond, who shot 10. I love him so much!
It's all about who you love to up the ladder. The same way that I was brought up the ladder.
I will guarantee to mentor you, but I will not give you the money at this time.
We're taught everything else as kids, but we're not taught how to use that tool called money.
You have to concentrate on this and be the king of this.
Daymond John from Shark Tank is here with us.
Daymond John, the entrepreneur, bachelor's and best-selling author, and boy, his books are good.
Let's bring our guy who helps us follow the money every week. Best-selling author. Here we go.
What's Daymond?
Number one book in the country.
To use some guidance, right? So I reached out to a friend of mine. Why? How do you think they can grow their business?
A lot of corporations have grants, especially for minority-owned businesses.
Daymond John is teaming up with Chase for Business to kick off the first ever Black Entrepreneurs Day.
Daymond, tell us a little bit more about this event.
I had this idea and I called up my Rolodex of great corporate partners. I called the partners like LL J, Shaquille O'Neal, Bob Johnson, Gabrielle Union. And I said, let's show some people some inspiration. But we're giving away $175,000 in grants. You are stepping up, Daymond. I'm doing this because I felt frustrated just like everybody else, my corporate partners, as well as Celebrity Prince, saying, what can we do?
We've got a shark here named Daymond John.
You are also a presidential ambassador for global entrepreneurship.
We're here not to save the world and teach financial intelligence. The recipient of the Daymond John Scholarship for Excellence is on the floor as I drive honor and the ability to solve problems.
First of all, thanks for what you're doing.
My quest right now is to change people's lives, have fun at the same time, and challenge people.
Just giving back to the community in so many great ways. A real visionary. Praise God for Daymond John!
He is a leader, the guy that started off, the pioneer. I love it.
His trip, I think that's the one he was just on album.
That's what it's about.
It's about leaving with a legacy.
Thank you.
Well, Daymond, we're happy that you're here with us tonight.
I am happy to be here.
Yeah, and you know, this is all about entrepreneurs, and when you say that word, you are it in every sense of the word. But tell me, when did the bug bite you? Tell me about that. When did the entrepreneurial bug bite you?
You know, it bit me as a kid, you know, 5, 6 years old, I think that as African American, we're always bartering and trading and, you know, hustling, as our parents would say it. I think we just never really understood how to formalize it as much as we could because we're so about passion and knowing that there were a lot of different challenges to formalize it. But we had to pay the bills. So I was doing that since 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, I'm half Trinidadian and I'm half African American. And my father came over here at 16 years old and swept the streets and made no money bringing his other 6 siblings over here from Trinidad. So my parents always hard working people. So I started selling pencils actually in the first grade.
How much were you selling for?
I don't know. So what was happening? I remember the boys every time they when like girls, they would try to knock their teeth out. So
Wait, knock the teeth out.
well, that's what we do in the first grade. So I used to get pencils and I scrape the paint on the pencils and put the names of the prettiest girls on the pencils and say to guys, you don't want to knock her teeth out. You want to get to know her. So if you buy this pencil from me, you can sit with her at lunch and give her a pencil and maybe she'll talk to you. And then they would try to knock my teeth out. So I pivoted. I found out the girls would pay 2 times the amount of money and save that pencil with the names on it. So I started selling pencils of girls.
Oh, I see how it started early. So you had game from the rip.
Well, then the principal had no baby. They closed that business after a month because I was stealing the pencils from the dudes I hated in school. My cost of goods was zero.
But see, but you had the mind. You had the mind to make some money. You know?
Well, you know, listen, back in the days, entrepreneurship, no matter what community it was in, it had this bad connotation. It had this thing like an entrepreneur, somebody who, you know, set your house on fire and sells you a water hose to put it out. And, you know, and it was always challenging, but the main reason I became an entrepreneur is because my father left when I was 10 years old, and I'll never see or speak of him again. And I'm an only child, still I'm an only child, but my mother had to work 3 jobs at the same amount of equivalent table. She had to work 1, and like any person in here, I didn't want to see my mother work that hard. And I decided to want to be the man of the family. And you know, there's a saying, responsibility is something that must be taken. It can't be given. And I realized that at 10 years old, and I never stopped working since that day.
And you definitely have been working extremely hard and done very well for yourself. But tell me about, you know, growing up that way, and then the first thing, how FUBU came about, and some challenges in getting something like that done.
Well, you know, growing up that way, I was fortunate to grow up in Hollis, Queens, but like many of us, you know, right around, you know, being African American, I never saw anybody who looked like me or, you know, walk and talk like me that would make me money, not even on TV. You know, at that time, there was one thing song on TV, but it didn't look like Reggie Sanford, the junk man, was doing that well. And I didn't see anybody in the neighborhood that looked like me who was making money, but because I didn't see any heroes in my neighborhood. I grew up in Hollis, Queens, but like in everybody else, right around 84, 85, you know, this really cheap drug came and I devastated our communities, and the heroes that I would see, or the business people, they were coming out, I would wake up 3 o'clock in the afternoon seeing them driving by a man's car, but it wasn't, the heroes didn't exist. The heroes are getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, taking their kids to school and going to their place of business to work till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, right? Then they'll come home cooking for the kids, doing homework with their kids, right? And where were they on the weekends? Well, they were in places like this, being honored by, you know, by their community. They were always constantly educating themselves and being around like-minded people. You didn't get to see them, right? And at that time, you saw these drug dealers with money, and the real superstars in the community are always hidden because they're usually wearing overalls, right? They're working hard, they're at a church, or they're someplace else. So I didn't get to see those people, but then all of a sudden, because I came from Hollis, there must be something in the water. Because in the same square 5 miles, I mean, Run DMC, LL Cool J, Salt and Pepper, Tribe Called Quest, Lost Boy, Onyx, 50 Cent, Ja Rule, Hype Williams, David Brown, lived there. So many other people, music people who lived there. So I started to see these guys out buying fancy cars, and they weren't selling drugs. They were doing something they loved. So I wanted to be part of that community. So I used to be on the first tours, you know, like pushing speakers on the first tour, like those Fat Boys, LL Cool J, Run DMC, Public Enemy, Big Daddy Kane. And I remember, you know, I remember pushing the speakers around that tour. And I wanted to be a rapper, but I couldn't rap.
Wait a minute. You wanted to be a rapper. Can I ask you, what was your name going to be?
My name was Kid Express.
Kid Express. Kid Express. Break it down.
But I could dance, actually, and if you ever hear that song by Run DMC, Larry put me inside the Cadillac. That guy Larry connected me with Houdini, and I tried out with them, and they said they would put me on tour because I was a decent break dancer. And my mother said, "You ain't going on no tour." So some kid, I didn't know who he was at the time. Some kid named Jermaine Creek took my job. But so I was on that tour now. So with me and my buddy and 3 of my buddies, one of my buddies said, "I'm going to be the biggest video director in the world." One said, "I'm going to be the biggest radio DJ or DJ." And another guy said, "I'm going to be the biggest drug dealer." And we're all 14, 15 years old, and this shows how goal setting can affect you negatively or positively. Well, we all grew up. I became decent because I said I'm going to be the biggest guy in fashion, in FUBU. My other friend was 13, 14 years, became Hype Williams. The other guy was, who the DJ is Herb Gotti. And the other guy said he's going to be the biggest drug dealer, just came home. 27 years later, and Hype had made the movie Belly about him. I was on the events.
Wow.
But it showed how the setting of goals when you become who you think about most of the time, says oh, right? And when you set goals, whether it's positive or negative, we've seen people say, I've always been in an abusive relationship. I'm not smart enough. And you set a goal, just like most of us in this community. We were told by the people that's supposed to educate us and protect us that we're going to be dead or in jail by 21. Those were the people that we were paying to protect us. And unfortunately, many of my friends died too at 21. So it shows that the power of goal setting is the most powerful thing. The mind is the only thing that can actually control you, and it can't tell the difference of something that is filtered, it's truth or not, right? And that's the point. That's when I realized I was going to start FUBU. I didn't have any money, but I realized that most of the people in this world who are successful came from nothing. 65% of the wealthiest people in this world came from nothing. That's self-made men and women. That is why everybody here can become successful. And out of a lot of winners and athletes, 65% of them are bankrupt 3 years after winning the lotto or 3 years after winning the league. That means money is not necessarily something you need. It's a tool. Because if that's the case, then where are the Fords and the Carnegies and the Mellons and the Rockefellers? Why don't they own the Teslas and the Instagrams and everything else? Because they were all taught, they weren't taught money, they would trust fund kids, so the first generation makes it, the second enjoys it, the third destroys it. And there's nothing wrong with those families, right? But the reality is when they go down like this, that's when it's time for anybody in this room to go out.
Wow.
So the long story of FUBU is, when I started it, was I started seeing rumors that nobody liked African Americans or inner city kids or rappers or whatever wearing their clothes. They were taking our money going, we don't like you. And they had no respect or value or empathy for those who were buying it. So because, you know, if I was wearing a pair of 36 jeans and you really, I was supposed to wear a pair of 32 and you said, well, I don't like you. Why are you wearing baggy jeans like that? Well, maybe I'm a great dancer. Maybe I got a hand down from my brother. Or maybe I don't have enough money and I never thought that I would ever be able to afford your pair of jeans. And guess what? It's my biggest investment. I'm going to buy 3 sizes up and I'm going to grow into it. And you didn't respect me. So it was 1989, Good Friday. The night before, I made a bunch of these hats that I saw in the De La Soul video. It's like a cut-off sleeve with a tie on the top. And I remember going down on the corner, it cost me $40 to make those hats. And I remember standing on the corner in 1989, Good Friday, 3:15 in the afternoon. And in 1 hour, I sold $800 worth of hats. Wow. And I said to myself that morning, I made these hats in my own hand in my ability to show value to the customer. I'm in charge of my destiny. Nobody, I was one step away from the money, right? Myself, right to the customer. I will never work for anybody else for the rest of my life. I went to Red Lobster for 5 years after that.
But you kept on going. Something I hear a thread in what you were saying to me is a lot in mindset. And a lot in really speaking it into yourself and believing in yourself.
Yes.
Every entrepreneur, you get that idea, you get that dream, right? Have that thing and you want to make it happen. But if you don't believe that you can do it, then how can you convince other people to buy it?
True, but if everybody believes you can do it, you got the lowest common denominator. Right? So the only way you can get closer to that target is you taking action yourself every day. And the theory of you gotta have money, I just showed you, it doesn't work. So what do you have? See, you can only control 2 things in your life, ever control 2 things in your life. The lens that you look at something through and the action that you take. Those are only 2 things you can control. And you have to use OPM. And OPM is other people's money. That's nice, but you have to use other people's OPM. OPM could be other people's manpower, manufacturing, marketing, and mentors, right? And that's what you have to use. So what did I have disposable in me? I had a bunch of hats like this. Now, I closed FUBU 3 times from 89 to 92. But I gotta tell you something. The reason I was able to close and reopen it, I took affordable steps. I lost $500, $1,000. This theory of you need to make money, well, If you do that, you're gonna make bigger mistakes. One of the top reasons why small businesses don't last is overfunding. It's not underfunding. You see, you can go and get a $100,000 loan because grandma had the best cupcakes ever, and when she passed down this recipe. So what do? You get a $100,000 loan. You open up a store, right? The store does it right now. The store, the hats look like cupcakes, the register looks like a cupcake, the cash looks like a cupcake. But you didn't sell that one cupcake yet, by the way. So now you did all that. So what happened? You open up the store. Well, you find out a kid next door in the school next door has a peanut allergy. They're closing on 5 square miles for that. Right? Every time the kid sells in the store, sells a cupcake, he puts another cupcake in his pocket. Right? By the way, there's a little old lady working out of the church down the block who's been selling cupcake like cracks for the last 20 years. Right? You can't mess with her. Nana, you ain't messing with her. You got to close the store down. You got 7 years of bad credit. You lost $100,000. You should have just opened a kiosk. It's affordable steps. So what did I have at my disposal? I said to myself for the first 6 months, I said, I'm going to make 50 calls every single day. It's going to be to either manufacturing stores, music labels, they get something to wear, something like that. I made 50 calls every day. No, the first 50 times, they just hung up the phone on me for like the first 3 weeks, maybe even 2 months. But after a while, they were like, you ain't going to stop calling me. Nope. And what would happen after that was people would say, you know, I was out at dinner with somebody the other day, and I don't think I'm a fit for you. I got somebody you should talk to. And that's all I did was 50 calls. Then I said I moved it up to 75 calls. People think they need to roll out all this money. You don't.
And people also sometimes, I think, they give up. So you did 25, 50 calls. They give up. They say, you know what? I don't have it. Nobody wants to talk to me.
Yeah, but true. You know, even if they did that, that means either they were doing it strictly for money. Because when you're doing something only for money, you don't have any kind of passion about it, right? You generally, working a week feels like a year, right? And when you make the money, you blow it because you got to that finish line, like whatever it takes is, right? No, you keep your day job. Nobody should tell you quit your day job. That is the worst possible thing anybody could ever tell you. I worked at Red Lobster for 5 years while I did FUBU. I would wake up at 6 in the morning, I would answer all the calls. At that time, it was an answering machine, and then I would deliver whatever FUBU has I can deliver. And then I go to Red Lobster at 12, I do a double shift, I stop at 12, I come back home, and I sew hats until 3 o'clock in the morning. I go to sleep, and I wake back up at 6 o'clock. And I did that for 5 years, and I slept next to in sleeping bags, next to the sewing machines. And I rent out the rooms in my house for $50 a week to strangers. I'm getting robbed in my hallway, sleeping next to a sewing machine and working over at Red Lobster.
That's how the weekend is, David. That's serious.
But you know what? I would have had to do, I don't know, like $2 million in business in the first year of FUBU just to keep that to net that amount. You don't make mistakes. So all these people telling you all these other things, it's not true. You don't have to do it. You have to do what you can afford to do.
I want you to elaborate on something that you said, and I think it ties in well what you just been telling us right now. You said, if I've learned one thing in this life, it's this. Even if you lose, don't lose the lesson.
You can't, because you see, by the time somebody here thinks, oh, I'm going to do all this, and wait till we launch in a month, my staff, my friends, we're going to fail 1,000 times trying to get that done, because now we're going to move all the things out of the way. By the time you launch, we're going to do all the things out of the way, and we're going to fail a bunch of times. You see, you know, the theory of being this tough, I mean, we have to stop thinking about social media, because everybody's on there showing their sizzle reel on social media. Because every time I pick up social media, everybody's skinnier than me, richer than me, and they're all in Jamaica. I'm showing people work. I mean, they live in the best life ever. I'm like, yo, I got it, and I don't even have time for all that. So, and when I was in the neighborhood, the people who told me not to show up for something like this or whatever, they would keep saying, waste some time, and they're trying to get you. You know what I should say? Well, you're a crackhead. So, you know, they were crackhead. What do you want me to tell you? The only thing more important than the information you're getting from is the source that's given to you, right? So, you know, What's the question you asked me? I was thinking about Krusty Craig. Back in the day, Krusty Craig was a crackhead.
Maybe lose, but never lose the lesson. That makes sense.
You know what? Because, you know, listen, every single entrepreneur that I have met that is really doing well, they had a passion to solve a problem or bring somebody joy. And they felt that somebody else was going to do it, and sooner or later they say, you know what, you're going to do it, I'm going to do it, right? And they're passionate about it. So like, when you're really passionate and you're taking affordable steps, even if that business didn't work, you had an amazing time doing it. And it sounds really simple and stupid, oh yeah, do what you love, but it's the truth. Because if you're cooking, if you're the same cupcake person, and you have to be bringing it to the office and people are getting joy over that, you might turn it into a business. But if not, you have a good, if you're working at a shelter or if you have a nonprofit where you see these beautiful people that are now being acknowledged by their peers in their community, it's really not about money. You don't do that for money. Because if you think large corporations and everybody has this vision about money, that they can do it and it's only about money, well then where is Blockbuster, BlackBerry, and Kodak? Right? It's not about money. It's usually driven by a purpose and a drive. We wanted to feel like we made the first hashtag clothing, and before the internet came out, when you see somebody across the street, FUBU, you knew what type of music they liked. That's all it was. It was very simple.
And you are continuing to do something that you speak about learning. Entrepreneurs,
Yes.
you have to always
Stay
open. Don't think you have arrived.
You never arrive. When will you ever arrive? So if anybody here thinks that when you make a certain amount of money, you arrive, you don't. You know, so what was happening during the pandemic? I was getting a stalker was calling, and he was calling my wife and my wife's parents. Everything's out there. And my wife, and so, oh, by the way, I have like 3 stalkers that year. I like to keep my stalker rate about 9. But my wife said, hey, come on, there's gotta be some techniques, some people you can call. Get out name drop that. I said, I name drop some other people I grew up with them. I'm gonna name drop someone purely to qualify this conversation. I said, honey, I don't know, let me call somebody. I called Catherine Zeta-Jones. What do you and Michael do? They're like, darling, our stuff is out there all the time. I call up Cuban, yo DJ, don't worry about it. I call up Pitbull. Pitbull like, yo Papo, that lady on the other line, go right now. I said, you know, you don't arrive. I said to my wife, I said, you don't become somebody who's on TV and they go, now, and you know, they don't, now that you're famous, you get this, and this. You don't work, you're not young at 20 years old and can party all night, eat pizza, and you've arrived and you're gonna stay that same shape forever, right? You don't graduate college and everything stays the same, right? You don't get married and happily ever after. Oh, it ain't happily ever after. In case you work at it. There is no arriving. Right, Daymond John, who may have been doing really amazing in FUBU in 1999 all the way, and then Coogee and all my other brands, when the retail started to collapse, how am I going to sell? Well, I better start to learn online conversion, right? You don't ever arrive. And that's the beauty of it, because if you walk in a room as a learner, right, you know, because of course, being African American, we have to have we have to create a shell. Because in many communities, we are challenged often. So you don't want to ever be vulnerable. But entrepreneurship is being vulnerable. When you walk in, you have to. And when I got to say the time that I feel, as I reflect on it now, I didn't know any better, but I feel like I had lost a big opportunity because of ignorance, but I didn't know what I didn't know, because as an African American, I didn't come from legacy wealth. Nobody could have told me what had happened prior. I remember I got invited to, I think it was not Nebraska, Montana, something. I walked into this big, huge compound, whatever, and there's Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Jobs is there and everything. I got a big bodyguard with me. I got my little FUBU chain on. I'm standing in the corner. This place obviously not classy enough. There's no Alizé and no Hennessy. Got one Gucci belt. And I never got to talk to Warren Buffett. Steve Jobs obviously passed, and because I was this kind of standoffish person thinking I was cool. And when I noticed true entrepreneurs walk along, they have to have a level of confidence with vulnerability. Hey, I know this really, really well. I know you know that, and you know other yourself, how can I be of value to you? Maybe we'll find some stuff to do together. When you hear people like that, see, because when people think you got it, they go, well, you got it. She got it. They don't say anything. It's like driving down the street and you see somebody sitting on top of their car. They're like, oh, on the highway, oh, somebody's coming. Call somebody, AAA's coming. But if you see somebody pushing their car, get out, what do you do? Try to help push, try to help somebody. So, with this whole idea of being hard when you walk in the room, it doesn't help. You know, and that's what I learned to be very vulnerable. And that's when I started to succeed, because people often mentorship.
That's really rich. And last question, as a choir is coming on the stage. What do you look for when you're an investor? What the people out here that are listening to you, in order to get your attention? And I know you rap and everything. You know, I'm in the choir, ask your services in the song. You know, I don't know.
I don't rap out there, but
what would you look for to come in for an investor? What do you look for?
I look for somebody that I can't wait to meet them and I can't wait for them to be part of my life. We're going to learn something together, and even if this thing fails, we're going to do something else, because they come to me and they know their numbers, they have a passion about what they do, we're morally connected, and they have a bigger picture on what they want to accomplish, right? And they may say, I don't know this and that, like I said, but I'm going to learn, do this together. And then I see the viability in it, because none of us here need to partner with somebody to make money. Be very honest. Amazon has went up 14% in the last 3 months. That means that company just increased $220 billion in the last, in the last 3 months. My money will increase at the same rate, right? Nobody's calling me asking me how to help ship boxes. Nobody's calling me from Apple asking me how to fix computers. So if I want to make money or lose money, I send it to the market. But if I want to work with people and be on the call whatever every single day, I gotta like them. They gotta like me. Every single one of my relationships in business and personal was dropped because of the lack of communication.
And that is key.
That's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Daymond.
Thank you. I love it. Thank you.
All right.